voice ringing with fullness from both worlds, guiding me to the shining places. He calls himself Pride. Old pain, shadows forgotten from dreams too real. This side is slow and heavy, but here is what can change. Wisdom knows enduring is pain. He hurts for her, another of many he couldn't save. He carries necessary deaths.
Hey folks, Jackdaw here. Today we're talking about the endings for Solas in Dragon Age the Veilguard. For years we have been predicting, tinfoiling and overanalysing everything BioWare have hinted at, trying to pin down what fate they would give a character as complex as Solas. Could he really be redeemed? Would BioWare provide Doctor Who Stolen Earth / Journey's End levels of fanservice akin to Rose Tyler and Human 10 for Lavellan and Solas? Would he end up being one of the best villains BioWare has ever written, with a sad, beautiful, tragic ending? Or would Solas fully embrace his Dread Wolf appellation and go fully dark beyond redemption? Well, now the Veilguard is here, we've finally got our answers, and let me tell you, they're even more sobbingly intense than I'd ever imagined. First, let's talk about Solas's redemption.
To stop now would dishonor those I have wronged to come this far.
Even if those you wronged asked you to stop?
Now, in my opinion, the Veilguard absolutely delivers on this. It is a redemption arc that is earned through a bit of hard work and effort. One thing I wasn't expecting was how much Rook influences the Inquisitor's feelings towards Solas as the story progresses. You need to make sure that your Lavellan fully admits her love for Solas for this redemption path to then unlock. And then there was this whole pivotal moment in the story revolving around another aspect of Mythal's essence, which was a key artifact crucial for Solas's redemption. What I loved most about this, and it ties into the memories, but it's how BioWare wove Mythal's history back into this plot. Since Trespass's revelations, Mythal's legacy has been so deeply tied to Solas's arc that it always felt inevitable. And then having the regret of the Dreadwolf questline, which sent Rook on this journey to collect wolf statues throughout the Crossroads, experiencing Solas's memories piece by piece. And once you did that quest, we then met Morrigan, who revealed that she now carries the memories of Mythal, at least the aspect of Mythal we knew who was inhibiting Flemeth. This was a predictable yet incredible twist. And what really hit me was when Morrigan talked about the sorrow of knowing she'll never ever see her mother again. It's a tragic moment that reinforced the personal cost of Solas's long-held regrets since he killed Flemeth for her power at the end of Inquisition. Once Morrigan reveals herself, now carrying Mythal, we then are introduced to another fragment of Mythal that lives on, claiming her essence as she reflected on her struggle with the Blight, the Elven Gods, and Solas when she was still alive. And I love this sequence of having to be very careful not to anger her during conversation. That's the best way to avoid any kind of battle, although really it was crucial to unlocking the best possible Soul Lavellan ending. And so once all of that groundwork was done, get to the end of the game and we finally confront Solas. And it's here where Rook is presented with what seems to be two clear choices: to fight Solas or to attempt to deceive him. However, if you did follow all of the necessary steps, i.e. gathering Mythal's essence, there's a third, far more powerful option under the More tab, which gives you the choice. You don't have to do this. This is where you show Solas Mythal's essence, offering him the chance to break free from the path he's set upon. In this choice, both Morrigan and Lavellan try to convince Solas to stop his destructive plans. But actually, in a very surprising twist, it's Mythal who truly breaks Solas's chains. A final, paradoxical act of freedom from the cycle she herself set in motion.
The things that I have done.
And so let's break it down a bit more. So Solas' past, as we learn through his memories that we get in the crossroads, as well as the murals, it reveals that he was once a spirit, a theory that we originally all guessed anyway.
He did not want a body, but she asked him to come. He left a scar when he burned her off his face.
But he was bound to a physical form to serve Mythal, who guided and controlled him. Now their relationship was tangled, complex. She was both his mentor and lover. But there was always a power imbalance, leaving Solas caught between devotion and servitude. Balara suggests, when reflecting on one of these murals, that emotions as a whole, especially romantic ones, ran deeper and more intensely in Elvenan, which makes it a bit harder to pinpoint the exact nature on their bond. So for my own interpretation, you can guess all down below, but for me, I'm not going to put any labels on their situation. However, what is undeniable is that Mythal pulled him into her plans, moulding him into a weapon, and that lack of agency became a core part of who Solas was. Although Mythal may not have intended harm, her influence left Solas bound to a path he never chose freely. She shaped his fate, and from this, he grew consumed with the longing for freedom. Though he loved her, that love was always weighed with the deep cost of servitude and sacrifice. The pride and regret he developed over centuries in this role led him down the path of the Dread Wolf, a path born of Mythal's will more than his own. And when it came to Lavellan in Inquisition, we saw that Solas was willing to give up everything, even his godhood, for her. Yet even here, in the Veilguard, he remained bound to Mythal and the unresolved regrets that chained him to a destiny he had not fully chosen. And so his redemption, despite Lavellan's efforts, didn't come from her love alone. It was Mythal's final release that truly granted him the freedom he had so longed for. The moment she at last undid the bonds she created in the first place. And so Solas' story ultimately, I think, is about self-forgiveness. It's about a soul burdened by regret and purpose given by others, finally coming to terms with his own path. True freedom, he learns, doesn't lie in restoring the past, but in releasing it, finding peace in the act of letting go. As Solas steps forward with Lavellan, finally unbound into a life of his own making to right past wrongs, we feel the weight and I think the beauty of a spirit that is, at last, free. Free to love someone fully by his own will. No longer shaped by duty or regret, by pride or by wisdom, but by the pure choice to be with Lavellan, someone who he fell in love with on his own free will in the first place. It's a hard-won freedom, both beautiful and bittersweet, at least in my opinion, of course. That said, if that was too flowery for you, the Veilguard offers several other potential fates for Solas, each with their own sense of finality. There's the neutral ending, where you deceive him by slipping him a fake dagger, binding him to the veil through trickery. This is a fitting outcome in some ways, outsmarting the god of lies with a ruse of your own. But in my opinion, it lacks the emotional weight of the redemption path. It's a victory, but a hollow one, leaving you to wonder what could have been if Solas had chosen differently. And then we have the bad endings, in quotes, where you go for a direct fight with Solas. And this one actually branches out into two different endings, each depending on your squad's preparedness and the hero of the Veilguard status. So if your companions have reached that status, they will hold their own against Solas, deflecting his spells. And then we get this core moment of Rook punching Solas right in the face, cutting him with the Lyrium dagger, finally binding him to the veil. It's brutal and final, leaving no room for forgiveness. The Dread Wolf is defeated, and he can no longer destroy the veil and will live forevermore in the Fade, binded to the veil. However, if your companions didn't reach the hero of the Veilguard status, things can take an even darker turn, as Solas, in a very devastating move, petrifies both your companions as they attempt to attack. With Rook's last desperate attempt, both they and Solas get pulled, trapping them in the Fade forever. It's the ultimate rejection of any kind of reconciliation. A Pyrrhic victory that ends Solas's ambitions, but comes at the highest cost of Rook also being trapped. There's no real peace in this ending, only a stark, definitive close to his story and a heavy price paid by everyone involved, most especially Rook. But I suppose at least the two aren't alone. I suppose for me, looking back on this all, the Veilguard gives one really heartbreaking, satisfying conclusion in my opinion. Having that opportunity for redemption, it's not easy, it's not clean, but I think it's earned. And I was very surprised by the Mythal twist in there too. I've always speculated that she would be the big bad of Dragon Age, and it seems that she isn't, but in the case of Solas' story, she's certainly been antagonistic in a lot of regards, while there is a huge level of ambiguity in their relationship anyway. I will say though, as you can tell from this breakdown, the neutral and bad endings don't have that much dramatic weight, that much flair or deeper meaning. They just pale in comparison to the redemption arc, honestly, which is satisfying, but could offer more if we were to nitpick in terms of the whole Lavellan stuff. We could have a scene, perhaps, with them afterwards in the Fade together, seeing what they're up to, just enjoying life. Lavellan drinking tea in the Fade, Solas not liking that. Just the two of them together, actually happy. But no, I am definitely content with what we got. The way BioWare handled Solas' complex backstory, his regrets, his past with Mythal, his desire for freedom. It was done with such care, in my opinion, that it was impossible not to sob. And in the end, it wasn't Lavellan alone who saved him. It wasn't this heroic Deus Ex Machina kind of ending where Lavellan comes in at the end and she sees him and it's all, oh! It was actually deeper than that. More tragic than that. Having said that, I would love to know your thoughts on the redemption arc ending of Solas. Which ending did you get? What did you think about the neutral and the two fighting endings? The one where you straight up just beat Solas and win, and the one where Rook gets trapped in the Fade with him. Did you think BioWare pulled off the redemption arc? I've seen a few fair things online, a few differing opinions. What do you think? I'm satisfied with it. What about yourself? I'd love to know your thoughts, and we can continue breaking this all down in the comments down below. But of course, for the latest on the Veilguard, I have many more thoughts coming your way. But until then, I've been Jackdaw, and I should go. Whoa, 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 whoa.